and welcome to another weekly Wednesday Kickstarter roundup from Rule of Carnage, bringing together all the best that Kickstarter has for the tabletop miniatures gamer. It's been a slightly quieter week on Kickstarter this week, but that's mainly because last week was so big rather than because it's really quiet this week. We've got games, we've got models, we've got STLs, so we're going to jump straight in with the game campaign for this week, and it is Car Wars Companion for 6th edition by Steve Jackson Games. So you might well have heard of Car Wars. It's a post-apocalyptic car combat and racing game by Steve Jackson Games. This is for a companion, a collection of scenarios, about 30 scenarios, an advanced campaign system, personalities for game-controlled bots, weather effects, all sorts of bits and pieces, ways to sort of punch up your game, get more play out of it, go more depth into the game. So it's an expansion rather than a standalone entity, but obviously Car Wars is a more than well enough known game that an expansion, I think everybody knows what's going on there. And I think it's always nice to see a game get extended out with some extra content like this, get some more play out of the stuff you've already got. Car Wars is, a really solid game. Obviously there are other post-apocalyptic car racing games that you might be interested in, but Car Wars has got some really nice mechanics, some really nice ideas, and it's great to see sort of more scenarios, more campaigns, more goodness. So obviously if you're interested in Car Wars, this is a great option to stop by, back the Kickstarter, and pick up some extra content for a game you already enjoy. Okay, moving on to physical model rewards. Just one this week, and it is Black Crab Miniatures 6, A Feast for Flies, The Deathless by Andrew May. So this is a collection of a range of undead miniatures. I think some of them could play as, mutants or demons or other options, but they're sort of aimed at being undead. And these guys are really lovely in a sort of rotten, disgusting and unpleasant way. I think that if you're into any kind of sort of Inc 28 or Inc 28 adjacent gaming, you like models with a lot of detail, a lot of feel, a lot of grimy, dirty unpleasantness to them, these miniatures are going to be absolutely perfect. Every single one of them is oozing character in a very, very oozy kind of a way. Every single one of them you could imagine having a full backstory and a world to them. They would work absolutely amazingly for any warband sort of skirmish scope level gaming with fantasy or undead setting. But I think that a lot of these creatures are so sort of mutated and freakish. As I say, I do think they could work in a range of weird, mutant, disgusting warbands that aren't necessarily inherently undead, and all of them will work brilliantly for a range of bad guys from for a whole range of games. I think this is a campaign you need to stop by and look at the miniatures. They're genuinely stunning in their own sort of disgusting, rotten, grimy way. Well worth checking them out. Super inspirational, super cool, really detailed, lovely sculpts. I strongly recommend stopping by this one, giving it at least a look over, and I suggest giving it a back. Okay, moving on to our STL file campaigns. First up for our STL files, we've got Camp Day of the Dead Freebie Inside by STL4 RPGs. So starting off with a campaign that hasn't quite reached its funding goal yet. It's right on the edge as I'm recording this. It might well have reached by the time this video goes out, and it's only going to need like 1 or 2 more backers to get it over the line. So please stop by and give it a look over. First of all, the freebie inside, there is a free to download STL file. So stop by the campaign. There's a free file in there. Go by, pick it up, check it out. The campaign is for a collection of zombies and survivors, small sort of warband level of each, sort of 5 zombies, 5 survivors, a handful of scatter terrain, and I think it's particularly cool, a collection of zombie flora and fauna, not flora, fauna, animals, creatures that have been sort of zombified. The free miniature is completely excellent. It's a zombie grandmother, so stop by, pick that up because everybody needs to have that in their life. It's a collection of contemporary set zombies and survivors. So this is going to be absolutely perfect for any sort of zombie apocalypse gaming. It's going to be great for a range of miniatures agnostic gaming. The survivors themselves are simply, contemporary modern day people sort of entered into a combat situation, so they would work absolutely fantastically for a huge range of games. Contemporary sort of civilian survivor types is not a well supported area. Certainly I don't think as well supported as it should be for the amount of gaming you can do in that sort of genre, that sort of theme. So I think absolutely stop by here, pick it up. I would say definitely for the survivors that are going to pop up again and again in any sort of post-apocalyptic or sort of modern set miniatures agnostic gaming you're going to do. Pick up the zombies because they're really cool. Pick up the zombie animals because they're really cool and really unusual. I think this is a really lovely set of STLs, a really lovely set of minis, and I think that it's only not getting the sort of support and attention it deserves because it's from a small independent creator. But this is one that's well worth stopping by, looking over, and I strongly suggest backing it. Okay, next up for our STL file campaigns, we've got Futuristic Cars relaunch by 3D Space. Well, it's very appropriate that we've got this Kickstarter on a week where Car Wars has just released a large expansion. This is a Kickstarter for a set of STL files for cars, sort of futuristic versions of cars, some of them possibly with a sort of specific vision of the future. Maybe some of them could work in a range of retro futuristic settings as well as far futuristic ones. I think there's plenty of these cars that could work in a range of near future worlds as well as far future ones. So I think if you are interested in any sort of car racing based miniatures games, so Car Wars, obviously if you're watching this channel you've probably heard of Gaslands. There are a handful of others out there. I think this is a really neat set of STLs to pick up and have very sort of characterful, featureful, really lovely designs. A good lot of designs in the campaign. I think it's about 39 STLs in the campaign. All of them have a really cool look to them, a strong sort of futuristic vibe. A lot of them look like you could happily sort of slot in some drivers, give them an extra bit of character, and obviously with them being STL files you can digitally kit bash a bit, fiddle them around, make it a bit easier to sort of remodel and redefine them before printing, and give them a bit of your own personal character. So a really handy set of STLs for anybody interested in miniatures, car racing, car combat, things of that nature. Okay, next up for our STL files we've got Sons of Yamato, Imperial Japanese Forces at War, IJN by Studio Historia. We have featured Studio Historia's campaigns in the past on the channel. They do really excellently detailed World War II era STLs, and this one is absolutely no exception. So this is for a set of Imperial Japanese naval forces from the Second World War, and absolutely tons of detail in these miniatures. These guys have been sort of very clearly, closely historically researched, and you can see all of that sort of detail, all of that research has gone into every single miniature. If you are a historic gamer, I would strongly suggest stopping by, following this creator, if not backing for these particular forces, because they keep putting out really lovely, well-researched forces. So whether or not you're interested in this specific Kickstarter, I would give them a follow, because they will put out something that would absolutely, be well within your wheelhouse. Generally, these are really nice minis, really nice STLs. I would suggest give them a look over, even if you're not necessarily inherently interested in, World War II Japanese forces, because there's lots of options here for playing these in alternative historic, or in a range of sort of general alternative settings. These guys could work as sort of post-apocalyptic, near future, contemporary settings, as well as World War II. They, feel like sort of a potential to be jungle fighters, so you could make them work in, I would say, a range of miniatures agnostic settings. So well worth stopping by and giving this one a look over. Okay, next up for our STL files, we've got American Wasteland Visions by Loot Games. So this is another repeat creator, and I think possibly just coincidentally there feels like there's a bit of a post-apocalyptic theme on this week's Kickstarters. This one is very much and specifically post-apocalyptic. So it's set to be primarily terrain for a sort of American post-apocalypse. Particularly, I think the standout elements in this campaign is there is a set of post-apocalyptic monuments of various forms. So if you've ever watched the ending of Planet of the Apes and wish you could recreate that on the tabletop, this campaign's got you covered. Not just American landmarks, I would say. There's the Eiffel Tower in there that I think would make a stunning centerpiece for a sort of post-apocalyptic gaming. There's a White House, a Washington Monument. There's Arc de Triomphe. There's lots of really cool sort of iconic buildings and structures that I think would be brilliant for writing a set of scenarios based around a campaign set around. I think that a post-apocalyptic campaign set in Paris is one of the most fun and cool ideas I've heard for quite a while. So these are really just imaginative, intelligent, fun, cool pieces of terrain for any sort of post-apocalyptic gaming setting. It feels like they are, deep into whichever apocalypse they're post, if you see what I mean. So this is something either in a sort of Mad Max nuclear post-apocalypse or something deep into your zombie apocalypse or something of that nature. But absolutely, if you enjoy this sort of setting, if you enjoy this sort of gaming, you're looking for some really, really characterful, beautifully expressed, funny, intelligent terrain, definitely stop by and check this campaign out. Okay, next up for our STL file campaigns, we've got The Cult of the Descended by Parasite Collectibles. This is a campaign for a set of chaos adjacent warriors, demons, things of that nature, strongly referencing the Games Workshop chaos laws, chaos gods. One of the miniatures in there very strongly feels like a Great Unclean one. There are some winged demon prince style characters and a range of warriors. These are very high-end, very detailed collectors, painters sculpts. Every single one of the sculpts is, incredibly detailed, lots of sort of sense of story, sense of place. There's a strong sort of heroic scale feel to them. So if you're looking for something that's going to be a real centerpiece to a chaos force or a chaos army or a chaos themed force in a miniatures agnostic game, I would strongly suggest stopping by and looking these guys over. Every single one of these minis could be a leader in their own right of a war band or a unit of anything of that nature, and several of them are going to be leaders of entire armies, large forces. They could all be dotted within a larger force. I think there's enough there to have an elite mass battle force. You might, if you're going for sort of a large force or a large gaming, need to sort of bulk it out with some other minis. But obviously with STL files, you can always reprint, mirror, reprint, get some extra bang for your buck there. But really, every single one of these miniatures is just super detailed, very high-end sculpts. If you are a collector, if you are a painter, if you want something with lots of detail, lots of story, lots of sense to it, stop by and pick these guys up, because every single one of them could be a centerpiece to an army. Okay, that's it for our standard reward STL file campaigns of the week. As usual, we've got a Pay What You Want campaign, and this week's Pay What You Want campaign is Pay What You Want, Ruined Courtyard of Generica by Kieran Billings, Devious Games. So, this is a Pay What You Want campaign for a sort of ruined courtyard. Specifically, the Pay What You Want level is for a three-walled structure of a ruined stone building, which is going to be super flexible. It's one of those buildings, one of those structures that you're going to be able to fit in so many settings, so many games. This could obviously do fantasy. It would work brilliantly for everything from, Lord of the Rings through to the most general, non-specific, miniatures agnostic IP. It would work fantastically in historic. It would work fantastically in sci-fi. It's a ruined stone building. They, exist for long periods of time. People keep rebuilding stone buildings, and I'm sure they will far into the future. I really don't think there's a setting that a building like this wouldn't work for. The Pay What You Want level, as I say, is a sort of three-walled structure, and as often with these Pay What You Want campaigns, there's an upgradable level where you can have the actual sort of courtyard itself, the floor that the structure might sit on, to have it feel like a partially enclosed structure or something with a bit more detail to it. It's an absolutely fantastic file to have on a Pay What You Want level. If you are looking to pick up bits and pieces here and there that have a good lot of flexibility, a lot of usability, and picking them up at a Pay What You Want, range, this is absolutely perfect. If you do, please do look at upgrading through to the additional level, to support the creator. They're putting something out that's really cool for the community, so it'd be nice to give them a bit of payback and a bit of support. Obviously, even just backing on the Pay What You Want level, causes you to follow them, support them. They'll be able to reach out to you again. And if you do, and they do reach out, they do create again, please support them again. Follow them in, help them out. The Pay What You Want level and Pay What You Want creators, I think, are really good for the community and well worth supporting. Okay, that is it for this week. Obviously a big game campaign there, right at the front. Other than that, a little bit quieter generally on Kickstarter, but then last week was a huge busy week. I think it's probably going to be around this level as we move towards Christmas, and we'll see a little bit of a slowdown. But yeah, lots of really nice campaigns, lots of stuff to check out there. If you do check out any of these campaigns, if you do back them, please drop down into the comment sections, tell me who you backed, why, what you're interested in, what's catching your eye. Also, give us a like and subscribe when you do it, and then swing by the Discord and have a chat with me about what's catching your eye on Kickstarter. Is there anything coming up that you're interested in, you'd like us to focus on in a future episode? But for now, for me, it's going to be it. On Saturday, as usual, there's going to be another game design chat with myself and Mike Hutchinson. Tomorrow we're going to have another hobby piece popping up on the channel, and obviously next week there'll be another Kickstarter roundup. But say for me, for now, from this episode, it's going to be a thank you and goodbye. So thank you and goodbye. Bye bye.